purest form right now, working with great scientists and minds, trying to separate them and figure out what the exact componentry is. I'm not even able to really quantify these things because I can't find a lab that actually has all the standards. Once I find the lab that has the standards, then I need to find something, if anybody out there knows, I need a cold head trapping device that attaches to a GCMS.
A red one or a green one?
The blue one, Kyle. The blue
So
one.
I got a little bit different opinion on the.
So with that, I can actually quantify the substance that I have, figure out exactly what's in it, figure out how to separate it, and then what to do with it. I mean, there could be potential.
So like open sourcing the method.
Absolutely, share the information. Don't keep anything the same.
There's a simpler way to be big pharma, and that's just to legalize the plant. If everybody can grow their own, everybody can grow it in their backyard. You don't have to worry about the influence of the pharmaceuticals. I mean, they're going to be involved in it. They're going to get their little greasy hands in every aspect of it. But if the plant's legal and you can do as you want and please with it, they don't affect you.
And I would add to that, as the laws are changing, we have to demand that there's cultivation included in those so we can grow our own. The law in Colorado allows for anyone over 21 to grow 6 plants of their own. And you can grow 6 monster plants if you want. There's no limit to the size of them. So if you want to keep pharmaceuticals out, then you grow your own, share it with your friends. They grow their own, they share it with you, and that's really the way, because I'm not buying my weed from Monsanto or Marlboro or any of those places, and I don't think you guys are either.
That's it. Danny just said it, and that's the thing is, this industry that's emerging may be the very first industry in the history of humankind that has a real culture behind it. So it's not just a product or a medicine, it's also a culture. So I have hopes that even though big pharma and big industry, they're all going to get in, they're all going to try to do their thing, because of who we are, we're going to gravitate towards mom and pop and the people that we've known for years and the people who've laid the foundation because we are a culture. So they're going to get in, they're going to do their thing, but hopefully maybe a couple of decades after it's all legalized and this industry is really big, they're going to walk away. Because the big people that are going to be in it are some people like you see up here that have laid the foundation and the people that deserve it. And see, then we're going to earn our seat at the big wide table in the sky, in the world, the overlords. And when we have a seat at the table and these global corporations want to pull some monkey business now, we're going to get to say, nah, you're not going to do that. So we're going to grow, we're going to become those corporations, and we're going to make decisions about how the world goes. That's my dream.
Yeah. They need us and our information a lot more than we need them at this point, because we've existed without them for years. And
yeah, one of the things in terms of the big pharma, in the 70s, people were worried that, and there were all these rumors that they were trademarking the names like Acapulco Gold and Panama Red, and pretty soon they would have the genetics and everything else. And it was a real concern. I mean, for us who were looking to the future, and that was one of the reasons why I gave out seeds, because I figured giving out seeds to everybody, you get that genetics out there, and once it's out there, we all have it. And that's basically what has happened over the years, which I think is great. I mean, the genetics now, it's really phenomenal when you think of how far this plant has come in terms of producing THC and terpenes and everything else, from what was around back in the 60s and 70s and to what it is now. It's pretty amazing without any formal help.
Yeah, and Aaron, can you maybe address the colloidal silver question a little bit?
Yes, this is the OG. I'll let him answer it because he's been around and they've been talking about this long before. And I have to be honest, it was handed down to me through Sam the Skunk Man. So I have to, and I know the formula is not from him. It's from here. You answer it.
I really come late to colloidal silver. I do use it. I do try to feminize stuff so that I don't have to keep growing all these clones. Yeah, you can buy colloidal silver, because it's sold for health reasons, and you can just go to Amazon. You'll see all sorts of companies. The problem with the colloidal silver is you really have to develop a procedure, and not all the plants react the same. In other words, you buy something that's like 240 ppm, and you have to use distilled water to dilute it, otherwise it just won't work. And I think last year I found that when I diluted it 50% with water, and then sprayed it every other day with just a moderate spraying, then I got some fairly good results. If you spray it at too high a concentration, the plant really doesn't like it, and whatever male flower parts that form, they don't really open, they just stay tight and closed. If you put too little, then you just don't get any male flowers. There's another way to go about it, and DJ touched on it a bit when he was talking about the sativas and the day length and everything else. When you leave plants out long enough, past their maturation point, and then you decrease the photo period even more, there's a tendency for them to put out what a lot of people call the bananas, which are actually anthers, part of the stamen. Those are what contain the pollen. And unless the plant has a predilection to put those out, in other words, it's putting them out, while it's really maturing, which you don't want. But if it was just a pure female, and then you get these, you can save those. You can save them. You can freeze them for your next crop. And one other thing about, in terms of the freezing, you can freeze pollen. All right. The main thing, all you have to do is make sure it's really dry before you freeze it. And you can freeze seeds too. I've had some skunk #1 that Dave Watson gave me in the 80s when he came back to try to bring me back to Amsterdam. And I grew them, I think, in 94 or 95, and then I grew them in 2010. That was about 15 years they were frozen. Now, I don't think they can go much further than that, because when they would sprout, those little embryonic leaves that come out that are inside there, they had some dead tissue on them. Now, they still, I still had maybe about 80–90% survival rate, but I could see that another couple of years they probably wouldn't have made it. So, but that's a long time you can save those seeds.
The colloidal silver, you guys could go pick up at Whole Foods, and the way to do it is, as your lights are as your photo period is 12/12, 13/11, 14/10, however you do it, you spray your plant before it goes to bed, and every night until your plant is almost producing pollen. Colloidal silver will not burn your plant. We use a much stronger method of doing this, and it's a much more direct approach rather than having to spray your plant every night. We use a silver nitrate bicarbonate 5 mixture. You have to have a license to get some of these chemicals. And you can spray it, your plant will burn, but you're not going to spray your plant 10–20 times to get your plant to turn. And you have touched on other things about not being able to turn certain varieties. Some strains you can turn into males, but they do not produce pollen. They are non-vital. The pods will open up. You'll see male flowers, but they do not produce any pollen. That is, of course, not something that you want to work. You just wasted your time. But within trial and error, changing your dosages, higher percentage of colloidal silver or of silver nitrate, you can change a plant. It's just a matter of time and willingness to change the plant.
And then to learn more about that, you would read Robert Connell Clark's book,
Marijuana Botany.
Yeah, Marijuana Botany. These guys, again, I mean, these guys have touched on all the subjects. I can't say they have done a lot of science. I mean, Robert Connell Clark and Dave Watson, they are two stoner guys. I have to straight up, they are stoner guys. They are cool guys. I break bread with them, but they are smart. Now, Rob went to school for botany and stuff like that, but I cannot say Dave Watson did. And he is a pioneer, and what knowledge lies in between that guy's ears is amazing. I just go suck it up every time I get a chance to sit down with them.
And then Rob's new book, Ethnobotany, is just absolutely fucking magnificent too.
Yeah, he did a panel for us in Amsterdam all about the ethnobotany of cannabis, talking about how different plants traveled throughout the past, the drug cannabis, the hemp cannabis, all of that. We have another question here.
It's a real pleasure to be here with you gentlemen today. My question is about lighting. I've read a lot about plasma lighting recently. But I haven't read anything about plasma writing and growing. Is it feasible or?
Being in Amsterdam, our company is fortunate enough to do some testing with Govita lighting. They produce a plasma light, and one thing we've noticed with plasma lights is they produce a UVC light. Now, UVC light is not the best thing to have on your skin and to be subjected to, but the way they encase the light, they make it safe for you to work for so long a period of time under them. It's a blue light, more like a metal highlight. But from what we've seen with plasma lights, they are excellent lights. I would use them as supplemental lighting, not just alone. They would